What's up, Trekkies? It's your boy Wil Wofford here with Trekker's Delight, a Star Trek-inspired podcast. Before we get started, we're going to give away $100, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel where we will announce the lucky winner every single week. Now, welcome to Trekker's Delight.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Trekker's Delight. FTP. I am Marie Brownhill, and I am here with William Wofford. It's a smaller cast today, but you know, no less cool for being so small. And what we are going to do is we are going to continue our feminist look at Star Trek with the Exile, which is going to be the first of a two-episode series looking at Hoshi Sato and how she was treated in Enterprise, which, spoiler, was badly for the most part. Like, really badly, for a lot of reasons. But we are starting with Exile because Exile is a pretty clear-cut example of just how badly she was generally treated by the show. William, you want to take us through the summary?
I most certainly will. Hey guys, I'm glad to be back here for another episode of Fight the Patriarchy. So, just got done watching. I mean, we watched it before, but had to watch it again to get a closer look and see what the episode is about. So, here's a brief summary on it.
Sorry.
It's okay because we kind of like take turns with the FTP and LGBTREK anyway, because it's like
Right.
We really do.
I'm seriously concerned that Eris is gonna hate me in the future for
Oh
like,
yeah.
Why are we always watching the awful episodes? I'm like, I promise we're gonna get to the good.
We're gonna get to the good. You have to get through the bad to appreciate the good. That's just yeah. Okay, so this is a brief summary, but we'll get into the nitty gritty and the shady shit and all that. So, that's right language. Okay, so set in the 22nd century, the series follows the adventures of the first Starfleet starship Enterprise, the NX-01. In this episode, Ensign Hoshi Sato, played by Linda Park, is contacted telepathically. Let's pull up. This is actually a cute picture that I found.
I really appreciate it, just the side eye there.
I'm just exactly. It's just so perfect. But okay, so in the beginning, she is contacted telepathically by an alien named Tarquin, who is played by Mari Sterling. Where's Tarquin at? Let's see. Where's that little ugly mother?
This guy looks like, yeah.
Oh God, I'd rather sleep with a Gorn. I'm sorry. Like, at least
I don't know. Like those head fingers might have.
I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to be xenophobic, but I feel like he is half, I don't know what half, but he's like half predator, half face hugger. And I feel like if he were to kiss me, those tentacles would wrap around like Jeepers Creepers and engulf my face.
So everyone, you can thank William for the additional nightmare fuel.
So, Mari Sterling, who offers assistance with the Xindi, so that's what he's trying to do. Whilst she visits Tarquin on his home planet, when I say his home planet, I really emphasize his, because he is there by himself, all alone. They took many aspects. They treated him like an Armus. Like, they just took him. Apparently,
he's by himself because there's a reason.
I feel like there's a hidden reason, and it has nothing to do with him being telepathic. Like, I'm sorry. That is bullshit.
Tried to stick those face fingers into someplace he's not supposed to.
I'm telling you, it's just like, I don't know where that species the JJ is at, but them tentacles are.
Not even 5 minutes in, and we're in the vajayjay territory.
We are in the vajayjay territory. I'm so serious. See, because all I could think about while reading this summary is, how would Robin want me to read it? Like,
going to thank us not to disturb her rest with this kind of nightmare.
I'm serious. She is up there in glory right now, spilling tea judging right there with my mom. Like, oh, that's William and Marie. Yeah, we shouldn't have put them two. Here's the thing: the show is.
I am not sorry, Robin.
I mean, the thing is, this show is actually much more rowdier when it's just us two.
I know, because there's no one to make us behave. And that's
There's literally no one to make us behave. It's just like, y'all do this. You do this on time. Like, I was literally surprised I went to the production meeting on time this morning. Who does that?
I know.
I'm usually 15 minutes late.
Remember last Thursday, Jermaine is all like, we gotta get it on time. And, like, the two of us.
Oh my God.
Cute.
You missed it, but I showed up 15 minutes early to that Thursday show. I know, and I had nothing else to do.
Are you like a
I don't know. I feel like I've been possessed by a pod wraith or something. I don't know. I am confused. Like, I am on time, or that one time when Picard had his clone on the ship and he did everything a little too perfect and then he went bazonkers. Like, I don't know. So anyway,
you're gonna go back to that summary. Words are hard, guys.
I know, right? It's all right. So long story short, guys, last week I had a cold. This week she has a cold. So we're just passing it along. So next week we're gonna pass it on to Manny and then Jermaine. Okay. So anyway, the episode was seen as a take on Beauty and the Beast, which actually kind of makes sense because that motherfucker is ugly.
You're being so I don't know, reductive.
I mean, so seriously, it's just like it's just
a beautiful. No, he's not a beautiful entity, guys. Like, spoiler.
He's not. I mean, here's the thing. Let's
get beyond the face thing. Let's get
beyond it. Okay, let's finish it. So the episode was seen as a take on Beauty and the Beast, with Sterling required to wear a full head prosthetic when Tarquin was in a non-human form. I actually believe I have a picture of him, and there's him as a human. Now, he's cute, and I appreciate that, but he on some shady shit. So I'm sorry. He reminds me of my ex. So with Sterling,
in which form?
I know, right? Because so many faces. It's just like Two-Face from Batman and Robin. So anyway, with Sterling required to wear a full head prosthetic when Tarquin was in non-human form, several sets were created in a Gothic style to represent Tarquin's home, which is this is like the outside part of it right here, and then the inside. This is inside. So while the anomalies,
outfit, man.
Oh yeah.
Now
I know. I'm just like, I don't know if this is like a prehistoric Klingon thing, fascination or something. Like I don't know. What do you just
vaguely Japanese inspired?
What
it almost looks like he's wearing an obi.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? What if he did that on purpose because of her heritage?
I mean, he at one point does bring up her grandfather Mikio, so.
And I'm like, how the hell do you know how to say that? I don't even know how to say that.
I speak a little bit of Japanese.
So,
I speak Duolingo Japanese.
Okay. Let's see. All right. So back to the summary. Okay, here we go. While the anomalies created by the Gothic Expanse sphere were added in post-production, so pretty much, all right. I didn't
matter. Like, we don't.
The spheres really don't matter. The spheres don't matter. But basically, long story short, with the spheres, they tried to make this story the main story. It still is. But they literally just said, hey, let's make it part of the arc. And they just slapped another part of the episode, which was trashed, at the end of this, in the middle of this episode, actually, and said, okay, now it's canon. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. The episode was the lowest rated so far of season 3, having aired at the same time as Major Baseball League playoffs. It received a rating of 2.3, which was 0.3 lower than the rerun of the Zindi a week later at the same time of the World Series. The critical response was generally positive. That's what the summary says. We don't have so much of a positive response to how they did this girl right here. I'm sorry. They did this girl wrong. So let's take it back to the beginning and really analyze this. Hoshi here is doing her morning routine and she starts hearing voices. Hoshi. Hoshi, can you hear me, my dear? Can you hear me? I know
It gets
you
real
can.
creepy, guys. Like,
I know, right? Like, just so as a woman, Marie, how do you feel about how the crew of the Enterprise treated her initial? I
so
won't. Yeah.
there's such a radical difference
Yes.
between TNG and Enterprise here, because
Yes.
Deanna Troy has went through some truly insane shit over the course
Yes.
of those 7 years.
Yes.
But what's amazing is at no point do they treat her as if she's hysterical. Like she says, "Hey, I'm hearing this. I'm having these nightmares about one moon circling another." Um, and they're like, "Okay, we can't figure out why, but clearly something is going on, and
Yes.
we're going to figure it out."
Yes.
Or even in the bottle episode with Dr. Crusher, when she's experiencing all these things and she goes to all these different characters and she says, like something weird is happening, they take her seriously, despite the fact that they can find absolutely no evidence of what she's talking about. But they take it seriously. They also take it seriously when, Jean-Luc Picard is experiencing time jumps in All Good Things.
Yeah.
Like,
Crusher takes them seriously, even though they don't want to. They
right.
do.
Right. Even though there might be the situation like with
his memory,
yeah,
which we later find out in Picard anyway, it ends up getting him. So
right. So like that does not happen for Hoshi Sato at all. She says, "I'm hearing things." They take her to sick bay, and even Phlox, who is a charitable creature, basically says, "You might just be hallucinating. It's probably the stress and the anxiety of your poor woman brain." And we spend all of Act 1 of this episode kind of going through this. Tarquin keeps contacting Hoshi, right? And it never gets less creepy, guys. Like, it never gets
he knows everything about her.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable for a lot of reasons. Well, eventually she goes to Archer because he shows her what his planet looks like, and they think they can find it. And so she goes to Archer and she says, "Hey, this is where it is. If we scan there, maybe we'll see something, and I will be validated." And lo and behold, they find this planet with the lone, like, building on it, and Archer's like, "Oh, well, clearly we need to go down there and investigate."
And my thing is, how come it had to take her saying that, even though clearly that's what the guy said to lure them because he knew he needed something, he needed a hook, but it took her mentioning the Zindi just to get his attention. And I'm sitting here.
Hoshi has been treated this way from the jump.
So
like, her understandable fear of dying in a fiery ball in deep space, which, guys, all right, sidebar, we give Abrams era Bones and TOS era Bones and Hoshi a lot of crap for being afraid of, again,
transporter
dying in a fiery ball in the middle of deep space.
First of all, you won't die of a fiery ball in space, you'll freeze. Okay, let's just make that clear.
I'm presupposing that the ship's going to explode. Is basically what I'm.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
If in fact you can have fire in space, I don't know. This is where we need Manny. But it's kind of a rational fear.
I mean, because it's like spaces. I read something the other day where it said, would you rather be in the bottom of the ocean for the rest of your life if you had like a ship or something, or a submarine, or would you rather be floating in the deep ends of space for the rest of your life, just floating in a tank? You're not even stopping anywhere. You're just there in that tank. And I said I would much rather be at the bottom of the ocean. Like, because here's the thing, space does not end. That's why it's called space.
Like, somebody might actually come and find you.
I saw a couple of foreign space films recently, and one of them I did not like because this one. I'm sorry, we're 15 minutes in. Let me get. So I forgot it was like a Russian film or it was a German film, whatever it was. It wasn't in English, and I'm watching the summary of this. They're supposed to go to Mars and colonize it because Earth became uninhabitable because of pollution, because we screwed it up like we're doing every day. And they get on this ship, one of their engines explodes, and they can't alter course because it threw them off course. So they can't alter course. So they said, well, we have to wait until we get in contact with the celestial body to zoom around it and go back to Mars. Well, they think that they're going to reach the celestial body within the next year or so. Okay. No. Literally over 1 million years. No, I'm sorry. 6 million. I forgot. 6.9 million years later. The ship is still running. It's still floating. It found the celestial body. It looped around, but all of the humans on there are literally dust. Like dust. There's not even bone fragments, just dust. So I would much rather be crushed at the bottom of the ocean than to be in the vacuums of space in pure nothingness. That's like that Void episode where Neelix needed curtains and he just losing his shit. But anyway, I do have a question.
Too, because like the fact that Neelix needed curtains at that point is just so out of character. Because like if you tell me that Younes did not immediately go in and like decorate his cabin, I am going to call you a liar. Because every man that owns that many prints,
I mean, because it's like I don't know whether he found his style after Voyager, since he found water for the first time in several weeks. And bless his heart. And they never, and that's the thing, they never maintained that they ever brought up water again. Like, it's just like, oh,
access.
Yeah, but I actually have a question for you about this particular episode with Hoshi. So, blow away. So, with this here,
I am dying. This is awful.
I know. First, I will detest on what she is wearing here in a minute, but I actually have a question about the time period we are in. So this is
like, can we have a brief moment of just how beautiful Linda Park actually is?
She's beautiful. I just hate how they dressed her up as beauty.
Yeah.
I was like, you can tell she was uncomfortable even wearing that.
Well, I mean, first off, how the hell are you going to sit there without either A, like, gapping to the point that you're going to see awkward boob, or you're going to, like, sit strangely in a very uncomfortable way because you've got to make sure that nobody can see your panties.
And I'm going like, I understand that TOS and back, women wore less with the exception of Discovery. But at the same time, they really did take I remember texting you about the Beauty and the Beast context. But anyway, that wasn't the question. Is it possible, and I'm not justifying anything, it's actually a real question. Is it possible that because they treated Hoshi, and they did this to her throughout the whole show, like as far as dismissing her, and unless it was completely relevant to the topic, I won't say they never treated her right, but they were continuously dismissive of her. So with that being said, does that make sense with how close they are to the 21st century compared to the rest of the Trek shows that are in the 24th century and on?
I mean, that makes sense with the fact that, like, Rick Berman has almost unfettered control over Enterprise.
Yeah.
So, make of that what you will. Hoshi's treatment has always kind of bothered me because, I laugh about, speaking Duolingo Japanese, but I have studied a number of different languages over, more years than we're going to discuss on this show, like, ever. Language is difficult.
Yeah.
Language is difficult when you have certain commonalities, right? You can go, like, all cultures on Earth know what a rock is.
Yes. Yes.
We have a concept of air. We have a concept of water. Hoshi Sato is learning languages from species and planets that have nothing similar. Like, we're not even necessarily, preservers aside, we're not even necessarily looking at similar evolution. So trying to figure out an algorithm that is going to yield a passable translation of a language you've never heard is huge and incredibly difficult. In some ways, I would actually argue that it's slightly more difficult than putting together the damn warp engine that they're so proud of. But we never,
Mm.
ever, ever hear about Tripp's failures. Ever.
Ever. The most we hear is about his sister passing away.
Yeah. Like, but, because Tripp is down there, banging on this phallic machine, like, we never hear, like, obviously what he's doing is more important and more difficult, and everybody just kind of looks at Hoshi and watches her kind of like panic and goes, well, obviously she's weak, and that's what she's trying to do is so astronomically difficult, and they just downplay it, and it makes me crazy.
But it feels all right. There's actually something that I wanted to read that you sent me about the name Tarquin.
Are we gonna get into Tarquin now?
Well, actually,
because if we are, I feel like we need to make like a trigger warning here, because we are actually going to discuss about some pretty awful treatment of women that is in fact historically accurate. And if you have a history of sexual assault in your background, please take care of yourself and maybe
please do. So, yes, I will acknowledge how handsomely cis white hail male he is. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and deny that. But like I said, he reminds me of my ex-boyfriend. So let's get into the.
Sorry about your taste in men.
Man, honestly, Robin would turn over in her grave right now. Like, she literally said, "Wait, why, William?" Really?
Anyway, let's get to Tarquin.
Let's get into it.
Much like we talked about Rubicon last week, this is another situation in which Star Trek is making a Roman analogy.
Yes. And don't worry, it's not Romulus and Remus either. So, so Tarquin probably comes to us from Roman history via Shakespeare, which is actually kind of fun because they use Shakespeare a lot in Star Trek.
They do. This is actually probably from one of Shakespeare's more famous long-form poems is something called The Rape of Lucrece. And that actually and he alludes to that poem, because of course he does, in a number of his other plays. And so I think that's one of the reasons that we know as much about this whole situation as we do.
Right, exactly.
So the short story is, the last king of Rome, like this is not empire, this is pre-republic even, is a man named Tarquinius. Superbus, I think, is his cognomen.
Sextus Tarquinius.
Oh. So the king of Rome is Tarquinius Superbus or whatever, and then his son is named Sextus because the Romans had to number their children.
In Sextus. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep, they had to number them.
Okay.
Yeah, so he is literally Tarquin the Sixth, or Sixth Tarquin. Pick your translation.
Yeah.
And I know somebody's going to leave in the comments like, Bree, do you remember your Latin? No, I don't. So just let it go.
she said, no, I don't. Just let it go. Okay? Yeah. I'm sick. I'm tired.
So Sextus is outside of his father's immediate sphere of influence, and he runs across this married woman, and she's married and important, and she has a very important family. But apparently he falls immediately in lust with her. And immediately and basically goes to her and is like, you need to let me have sex with you. And she's just like, how about not? And he goes, yeah, but you really do. And eventually he he makes various threats against various people, and she lets it happen. And, he tucks himself away and then wanders off, secure in the knowledge that she will never ever tell anybody because blah, blah, blah. Well, she goes to her male family members, raises the hue and cry, tells them what he has done, and then kills herself out of shame. Like, that's what happens. So her family then goes after Tarquin, Sextus Tarquinius, and they're all like, no, that was not acceptable. And so basically he ends up fleeing back to the protection of a Roman garrison, and he'd been such a dirtbag that he made enough enemies that they go ahead and assassinate him. And the whole shame of this debacle actually ends up being one of the sparking factors for the overthrow of King Tarquin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a major situation. So Shakespeare takes this and, uses it a lot, and uses it very specifically in a violence against women context. And so, like, you'll see references to, like, and Tarquin pressed the rushes thus, if I may paraphrase.
Yeah.
I think that one's actually taken out of Cymbeline. So the fact that this guy's name, cycling back, the fact that the character's name here is Tarquin is not accidental, because one of the things that Tarquin does a lot of is he's telepathic. Yeah, the face only a mother would love, and as a mother, I gotta tell you, I'm not sure I would love that.
I'm just gonna take it to the human here. So
don't make me look at that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'd rather,
so
yeah.
Tarquin is a remarkably powerful telepath, and when he's contacting Hoshi, and everyone thinks she's hallucinating, he's actually plumbing the depths of her mind, without her consent.
Yeah, so that's kind of like mind rape, but she doesn't realize that it's that, because sometimes with sexual assault or rape or anything of that nature, sometimes, for some people, in some cases, you don't realize it's happening until it's far too late. Now, in Troy's case, I believe the episode was called Violation. She knew what was going on head on. Like, oh God. And I know you got that episode in your notes too. So for FTP. Definitely. I mean, anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So, but it gets worse, because because at one point over the course of the episode, Hoshi actually agrees to stay overnight in the creepy castle with the creepy dude. Hence this whole
Beauty and the Beast thing.
I know, they even have her with the book, guys, like, because she's clearly Belle here. God. So
I'm sorry, it's just
the dinner that Tarquin prepares for her with his magic or whatever, is all of her favorite foods, because he's scanning her head.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, that's really creepy. And then later, after the Enterprise leaves to go investigate the sphere, which again, I don't remember exactly what that was, but it wasn't important. It was just necessary to get the.
They literally just slapped it in there. It wasn't even part of the story.
So, like, Hoshi basically says, I'm not going to stay here. She goes stumbling around in the castle, and she discovers a graveyard that's full of largely female names. Even
I mean, one of them's last name was like Tal, and that's why I asked the question. Is it possible that this is one of Tal's hosts?
Who the hell knows?
I know, right?
Except that I'm pretty sure, like, if you end up on this dude's planet, you never leave, and Tal would never have gone back into circulation, as it were.
Yeah.
So anyway, like, that's all going around, and she discovers this, and she's like, why on earth do you have a graveyard? And he's like, oh, those are all of my companions, and I'm an member of extremely long-lived species. I've been exile. I never get to see anybody. I'm so ronery, so terribly ronery. And she's like, I'm not gonna stay forever, right? Because maybe when you invite somebody for dinner, you should possibly take a few minutes and, like, explain that you're looking for a lifelong companionship. She's like, I did not sign up for a lesbian first date, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
There are no U-Hauls involved. I say this, I can make this joke. Not being, like being a part-time lesbian myself. And Ryan, and he's over there. Will's just like, it's not funny. I'm judging you.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not a woman. I can't say shit. Like I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna set my gay self over here in my gay corner. I'm sorry, I sounded just like Jermaine. Oh God,
you did. Well done.
Thank you. I'm learning very much. Oh my goodness.
Somewhere he's like, I don't know why I feel awkward, but I do.
I just pulled a Tarquin on him.
Right.
God, that would suck.
So ultimately, like after that happens, Archer mysteriously reappears and informs Hoshi that she has to stay. I mean, he doesn't quite order her, but it's very close. He guilts her into it.
And she even agrees.
She even agrees, and she feels terrible because, like, she's also like, she's not going to get the opportunity to say goodbye to Trip, and this is the first thing that hits her brain is she's not going to get to say goodbye to this dude, and then Trip.
It was Travis. Was it Travis? Yeah.
Communicates to her that like it's okay if she doesn't say goodbye, and then she's like, "Oh, wait a minute, Creeptastic over here. Oh, Mr. Caterpillar Face, like you were scanning my brain, and you were trying to trick me into staying, and that's not okay." I love that she gets this moment because I love that she gets to stand up to him and basically tell him to sod the F off. And then he's like, "Oh no." And he turns himself into her grandfather. He is literally appealing to every male figure in her background.
And it's not pretty either. You know what I just realized? I think I know where they got this show from. Well, obviously Beauty and the Beast. But like I feel like I know where they got this concept from now. The exact same thing happened to Riker. Remember? The child on the planet, and he was by himself. And he played as his son. And he created environment after environment after environment to keep him there, to the point where Riker tested data on his calculation speed if Riker didn't think about it first.
Yeah.
Like,
but like, so that's a good point. So compare and contrast this
between a male and a female episode.
Compare and contrast this because nobody expects.
It's okay. We love each other. We don't have COVID.
No, I don't. This is serious. This is a Kirkland signature winter cold. This is not even like name brand. Because nobody. He's not going to anybody in Riker's past to try and convince him, right? Like, I mean, he's not saying, "Oh, your grandfather says you should stay." No. Because that's not going to work with Riker. Because nobody expects Riker to listen to the other male figures in his life.
Exactly. And no one turns down Riker on the Enterprise. No one. The only person he turns down is himself when he's offered a ship.
So it's just like, if you set this up, I mean, even in this moment where she is getting the opportunity to say no, agency, the episode is undercutting that agency. Because Tarquin literally, I mean, despite the fact that he's been engaging in some, extremely dubious telepathic manipulation, Tarquin legitimately thinks this is going to work, y'all. Tarquin thinks that if he has her grandfather tell Hoshi to stay,
that she'll stay.
That's what's necessary.
And it's just BS, and it's completely wrong. It's like I don't.
But I love that she stands up for herself. I love that she
does.
I love that she basically tells him, "No, you need to stop this because this is not okay, and this is not how you end up with."
Exactly. Even whether or
by yourself, Bo.
I know, right? This is, you know what? And let's go into the possible background about why he is by himself. Because, like I said, it ain't got nothing to do with him being telepathic. I promise, it's not that it. That is not it. And I don't care if he is like, if he's been dealt with the Khan effect, where he's just left on a planet and then he becomes an asshole a while later. No. This ain't got nothing to do with that.
I'm pretty sure Khan was an asshole from the beginning, actually.
Oh, he was a Khan from the episode from the beginning. Here's the thing. If you are a certain type of person and you receive an enhancement, that enhancement makes you more of that type of person you already are. So that Armis was always a dick. I mean,
think it was literally the coagulation of dickitude. I think that's actually
it really was. I feel like if the Q continuum were to take a shit, it would be an Armis. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like, am I wrong?
I don't have enough wine to deal with what just happened. Like, I just don't.
I'm just saying.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Like, we know why the beast, like, and even if you put it into the context of Beauty and the Beast, we know that the Beast was actually imprisoned and was cursed because of something he did. Because of
something he did, and he never told her.
Right.
Well, in some versions. In some versions.
If we are basically picking that story up and putting it in space, which is ostensibly what we're doing, then we know Tarquin has done some shit.
And he's not telling her.
And he's not talking about it. I mean, and he basically spins this as, feel sorry for me because I am so
lonely.
So terribly lonely. I promise I'll never sing again. But
oh my gosh. This actually
is.
Yes, it is.
That is exactly what this is. This is Tarquin coming in and saying, hey, I am a victim. It is. And he's making it Hoshi's responsibility to make it better for him. And then when Hoshi says no, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I may not be remembering exactly correctly, but at some point he tries to extort her to stay.
You are correct. I will tell you the details of it. He somehow, even though he is telepathic, and we didn't know that he was also telekinetic, or he had or the planet gave him some sort of power that we're unaware of. But somehow, without canon, without context, he somehow manages to cut power to the ship as soon as it reaches orbit. The Enterprise has come to pick Hoshi up, right? It just suddenly loses power. There's no beam, there's no drain, there's no moon. It's just gone, you know? And he goes to Hoshi.
Magic!
Do you believe in magic? So he goes to her, and I'm actually gonna look for this thing. Where's that?
And he's like, I'm gonna kill everybody you care about
if you do not stay with me. Okay. There's that. All right, you see that ball right there in their hand?
Oh, the magic telepathic.
So Hoshi picks it up and pretty much says, "Oh, you gonna let me go, and you're gonna let my friends go, or I'm gonna break this bitch." And he said, "You wouldn't dare. If you do, you'll never leave this planet." And she says, "That be that as it may, you will be lonely for the rest of your life." And so
I love this moment. Like,
yes, it was a powerful moment.
Like, oh my gosh, because
now
again, Hoshi has not had. I mean, even when she's telling him no after he pulls like the telepathic assault, really. The whole episode undercuts her agency, but in this moment, she is holding his metaphorical balls, and she is going to smash that shit.
She literally has him by the balls, which is perfect. So, after evaluating this whole episode, do you believe that empowering moment for Hoshi at the end made the rest of that worth it? So that way we can see her. So that way we can see her like saying, "You know what? This is what I'm gonna do. You're gonna let me go. You're gonna let them go. I'm gonna break this bitch."
I would love to say so. I would love to say that all of that buildup made that moment, but it doesn't. I think Linda Park makes that moment.
Okay.
I mean, she takes it, and I think I'm almost positive that she had enough, because this is season 3, guys. This is episode 6 of season 3.
Next to the last
Enterprise has
season.
4 seasons. So she has been putting up with this nonsense for 3 seasons now. And I think basically Linda Park was like, I know I'm done. Like, this is my moment. I'm going to take that moment. And she does, man. Like, she grabs that moment and controls the entire sequence. It's gorgeous. And it kind of gives you a real sense of Linda Park's actual acting chops, which is, again, not something you've really had a chance to see.
Yeah, and honestly, I haven't seen her much in after Enterprise either, but she has it. She has the spark. Like, I love the way she keeps saying no.
Now, remind me how the last image we have of this episode.
One of the last images we have is
episode, like, because eventually, like, Tarquin relinquishes.
Oh, so okay, so what happens in the end is, of course, he lets her go. He lets them go, and she gets to the ship. They don't have any information on Xindi, at least not yet, because he says, "Okay, well, you know." And Archer learns of the whole story. He learns of everything. Suddenly, he acts like he cares. Suddenly, he's compassionate. Suddenly, he gives a shit because Tarquin pays a visit and gives said information to Hoshi, who she gives to the captain, because that's what you do in chain of command. When she goes to the captain and said Tarquin was in my quarters again, and and Archer just got up out of his chair. You know how he does so dramatically, just like when Riker puts his foot over a chair. Archer gets up out of a chair. That's his thing, okay? And he does it so dramatically, like damn. But anyway, he says, and his exact, I remember word for word, his line was, "I knew he would. Where is he?" I was like,
what is this dude gonna do?
What is motherfucker?
Like,
he's probably reading your thoughts right now. What the hell are you gonna do?
I remember watching this. I remember thinking, this is an alien that just held your entire ship hostage, and there's not a damn thing you could do. And so you're gonna boil out of this chair, and White Knight Hoshi, who has like and not even appreciate what she's done. Like, you're not. I mean, you're not really.
It's one of those things where they disregard her
again,
and don't even bring it up, and they never bring it up again.
Yeah, now, we never actually hear about it. I mean, we never come back to this. We never discuss it again. Like, and Archer apparently thinks that, like, what is, again? I ask you, what is he going to do? He's going to boil up out of this chair and go and fight a telepathic.
Jonathan Archer's random spurts of anger.
Water polo ball?
Like I said, Jonathan Archer's random spurts of anger does not do his character very well.
No, I really think Enterprise just did not know what to do with.
They really didn't. But like I said, I have read that when it came to like the Xindi shots, all of that was meant for another episode. They scrapped that, took the scenes from there, and slapped it with this one. They were not meant to be in the same episode.
Like, even going back and watching this, I mean, even with the great moment that you know Hoshi gets when she's basically like, you know, if I may quote you, I'm gonna break this bitch. I don't understand how the critical reception to this was as positive as it was, because it's just like.
Well, let's see what Linda had to say about it.
Like, is anybody paying attention to what's actually going on to Hoshi?
Let's see. You know what? I mean, I don't know, because it was 2000. It was probably 2003 when they filmed this. I think it was 2003, because the last episode of Enterprise was 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. Reception. Here we go. All right. Okay. Exile was first aired in the United States on UPN network on October 15th, 2003. As I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, and was the first time the show was broadcast in high definition. That's why people liked it, because they could see it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the orchids that they constantly have. By the way, has anybody else noticed? Like, if you need a weird ass space plant, it's going to be an orchid.
Yeah,
because orchids are weird plants.
Exactly.
I say this with a number of paths. Like, living in my cabinet back there. But like also, yeah, no.
Okay. So, Michelle Erica Green reviewed Exile for Trek Nation and found that it reminded her of the Voyager episode Alter Ego, where a lonely alien contacts Tuvok while pretending to be a character on the holodeck. She also thought that the Tarquin in particular was reminiscent of Flint from the original series episode Requiem of the Methuselah, due to the long lifespan of the character.
Not a great recommendation for his character.
Yeah. She said, I'm almost done. She said that Tarquin's castle reminded her of a Disney castle, while other elements, such as his communication device, were similar to something out of The Lord of the Rings, which the books were out, but the movies weren't out yet at the time. Jamali Epa, I'm not even going to say his name. At his website, Jammer's Reviews said that Exile was a well-rounded episode, but thought that it did not venture as far as it could have and perhaps should have. He described the scene where Trip has problems with the shuttlecraft as irrelevant, but nevertheless, great scene that's kind of brilliant in a Three Stooges kind of way. He gave the episode a score of 3 out of 4. But at that time, they didn't know that those scenes were meant for a whole nother episode.
Yeah, but even beyond that, I mean, it's just, people are not looking again. It's
they're not looking at the nitty gritty. I see what you're saying. They're not looking at the real issue here about how they continuously dismiss her. Now, I can kind of get that if you think that there's a lot of character development to be had. This actually comes back to my point. If you think there's a lot of character development to be had, it's not going to happen if you keep treating the show like shit. And you wonder why it got canceled at season 4.
I'm sorry, your bitterness is showing.
I'm sorry. Like, look. They literally treated this as the perfect prequel to TOS because they were done after 3 seasons. And it's like, oh, perfect. Let's just leave it there. Let's just leave it there as it is. And then have the nerve and the freaking audacity to look at a show. Now, here's the thing. I would have understood if they would have criticized this show with the exact viewpoints that we are hitting it with right now. That would have made sense. But no. That is not what they chose. That's not what they went with. That's not what they did. And I understand 9/11 had a lot of impact on a lot of television and a lot of shows, and I totally get that. Less explosions, all of that. I do. But at the same time, you can't get mad at what you get if you treat it like shit.
God. Yeah, but even beyond that, like even if we just sort of set aside the whole Enterprise phenomenon, like
yeah.
Why is Hoshi treated this way?
I don't know. The closest theory I have is that they're close to the 21st century.
I mean, T'Pol herself ends up being sexualized a lot more than even Jelaine Blaylock did not care for any of it. Because Jelaine Blaylock was a big fan of the original series, and she's just like, Vulcans would not be this sexualized, guys. Like, I mean, I'm gonna need you to calm down with like the gel sequences. Which
when they were rubbing it all on each other and oh god. I mean, they literally did her like they did 7 of 9.
They did.
And they knew what they were doing.
There is an assumption but T'Pol gets an assumption of competence that Hoshi doesn't ever.
Wow. And you're right.
So part of me kind of wonders if there's not also like a very because we do know that there is kind of like a weird tension with Asian actors on Star Trek. Garrett Wang and the Eternal Ensign being a good example. It just never occurred to anybody that he needed that he should possibly get
a promotion.
Yeah, no. And so part of me kind of wonders if we're kind of rubbing up against, very awkward and terrible stereotypes for Asian women. And I mean, obviously this is not something that I am confident to opine about. But I do wonder because again, I keep going back to this. Hoshi Sato is responsible for the creation of the universal translator. That's enormous, guys. That's huge. Because and one of the things I really love about Prodigy moving forward a lot is the obsession with communication and with the necessity of having the UT available in order to communicate with everybody around you. And that's what they have to have in order to escape Tars Lamora. Like,
Yeah.
anything without anything else, like, yeah, no, the ship's great, Zero's great, like, everybody's great, but if you can't talk to each other, if you can't communicate, you are stuck in this servitude. And, the diviner, right? The sheer fucking humor.
Right.
Wait, sorry.
Ah!
But like, the diviner takes away their ability to communicate with each other in order to keep them enslaved.
And they knew what he was
That's
doing.
thing, guys, like, that's on purpose.
Yeah.
And so the fact that, like, Enterprise spends 4 seasons denigrating Hoshi's accomplishment there, and even beyond that, guys, Hoshi ends up executed. Like, we know canonically that Hoshi ends up executed by Kodos on Tarsus 4.
It was terrible. It was terrible. And I hope that they give her a different ending. I hope they give her a different ending.
Win. Like, she can even win when she retires.
It's just like you never appreciate what minority, and when I say minority, I mean all of us. You never appreciate what minority characters go through. Minority historical characters go through until more than 25 years after they're dead. Like,
and also, can we have a conversation about the fact that, like, we're like, what? I mean, at least George Takei was of Japanese descent, right? Like,
yes,
Sulu. Linda Park is not, and she's visually not.
And they did her the way they did her, and because added to the fact that she is a double minority because she's a woman, and I'm like, so when you told me about how she died, I was like,
to be this person, right? Like, we just need a reanimation. Like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I hope in the anthology series coming up that we get some sort of something, like, because the way that she died, the way she, and you're right, because I remember you told me about it and I was blown away, and they hinted at it in the Mirror Universe episode where they did
going to get to. So, like, let's get some signposting right now, because we are going to get to that.
Yes.
Because there are 2. I want to say there are actually 2 Mirror Universe episodes.
There are.
We're going to cover those next FTP together because, again, spoilers. Hoshi actually gets her own back in a much more profound level, and I sort of read. I read what happens with her at the end of those episodes as being a direct response to her treatment throughout the rest of the episode, rest of the series.
It had to have been. It had to have been, because when that universe Archer read her biography and never said how she died, but I guarantee she went back and read that rest of that, and she's like, "Wait, this is me? No,
I'm having none of it.
I am gonna run this bitch and become the ancestor to Michelle Yeoh's character. What's her name? Emperor Jojo. Yeah. So
yeah, because we actually get, I mean, again, spoilers not only for for Enterprise, which again 2003 2005, but also spoilers for next the next episode of FTP. I really think it's appropriate that we actually get Emperor Giorgio from Hoshi Sato.
I really love that. That is proven. That is acknowledged.
That was a great moment, and that was really, really sort of fantastic, because it was like, we are going to talk about what we did to Rosalind Chow. We're going to talk about what we did to Linda Park and these characters, and we are going to give this badass Asian woman the space to be a badass Asian woman.
All I know is, with Section 31, she better go back and get Hoshi off that damn planet, and say, hey, great grandmother, you're coming with me.
Yeah. I mean, it's, oh God. I mean, it's this whole.
There's a lot.
terrible. It's such a terrible thing to do, because if we go back to Conscience of the King, Kodos was engaged in eugenic decision making. The people he executed were those that he deemed of lesser value, and
Sounds
so
familiar.
right, yeah. There's also a truly nasty through line of eugenic thought in American jurisprudence. Um, but the assumption is that either Hoshi is too old to be useful, or she's just not, or he just doesn't consider her useful at all. Period.
It's
And so that's
terrible.
why she dies.
It's terrible. It's actually
So
terrible.
I mean, just drill that down for a second.
And then I'm gonna add another part to that. Even though the mirror universe is cool, because it's pretty much everything inverted. Let's talk about how that. You know what? Let me acknowledge this real quick because we got less than 4 minutes left. What I've noticed as far as how that fact that there's an empress right in the mirror universe for the,
Emperor. Like, she's never identified as an empress.
okay, cool. We have a female emperor for the next 200, 300, no, 100 years until Georgia. Okay. That said, the mirror universe is this undesirable universe, right? Which kind of hints at the fact that, oh, if you have a woman running this, even though she took it from a man, it's still bad juju. Like, wait a minute. She literally did that on her own. In
Also,
response,
really, are we gonna like blow our entire, the entire episode right now? Because we have to leave enough content left
I'm sorry. Okay, guys,
to
we
keep
have
you
actually,
coming
we've
back.
actually, we've actually done really good. We made it to less than 58 minutes, and we managed to get through the entire episode, and we behaved
Summary
ourselves,
included.
huh?
Episode summary included.
Summary included. Usually, it takes us 40 minutes to get through a summary. We did it in less than 20. Know that, and that's what makes Trucker's Delight awesome.
So final takeaways from the episode is that,
Yes.
even though we get some really solid character development for Hoshi, like, unfortunately it doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere. And then seriously, like, as soon as she gets back on the ship, then all of a sudden it's big brother Archer to the rescue, who will do, again, in my head, this is kind of like this is like the guy who wakes up in his boxer shorts and grabs a baseball bat and tries to stop a robbery, and it just doesn't work out well for him. That's kind of where I think Archer is going with that.
I mean, he
But
does have a
I
dog.
think the reason we start with Exile, and the reason we started here, is because this is just so,
It's not good.
like, it's such a great exemplar of how Hoshi gets treated throughout the entire series,
Exactly.
and how different Enterprise has treated Hoshi than, say, because we touched on this earlier, how differently Hoshi gets treated here versus how, like, Troy gets treated.
Yeah, because Troy was never given this treatment.
Troy has the magic, like, MacGuffin empathy, blah 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 blah. But all of these other characters in TNG
Never got this treatment.
nobody ever, like, as crazy as it was, as
With,
legit.
with Angel One and everything.
I mean, Angel One, like, spontaneous pregnancy, like, Armin Shimerman's face in a suitcase, like, all the crazy stuff that happened to Troy.
She still had the final say in the end.
Not only does she get the final say, but nobody ever tells her that she's crazy.
Yeah. And the only person that came close to telling her that she was crazy was Ensign Rowe during the disaster episode.
Yeah.
And everyone was crazy in that episode. Like, the ship was falling apart. Like,
right. I mean, and it's not like Ensign Rowe is, like, entirely emotionally wrapped herself. So
yeah. and then the Kobayashi Maru episode where Riker in a constructive criticism type way told her what was what, whether she wanted to hear it or not. And I appreciated that about him.
Because
so
he has the respect for her to do that, and, like, basically says, look, if you're gonna keep doing this, like, you need to be you need to really, like, you clearly don't like me.
Exactly.
Fair comment. But again, nobody tells her she's nuts.
No one. That's why I love Troy. That's why I loved how they did. With every.
But Hoshi's apparently hysterical in this episode, even though she's very clearly hearing stuff. Like she's legitimately hearing stuff because this dude is stalking her, and it's a dangerous thing. And I gotta say, like, that rubs me so many kinds of the wrong way.
Like, I
because
would have.
It's so common. It's so common to say, hey, I think this guy, this person, this entity makes me uncomfortable. And then to be told no. Like, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your assumption. And then, the next thing you know, you're the subject of a Lifetime original movie.
Which is something I hope I'm never a part of.
Right?
I'm sorry. I don't like how they make their movies.
Me. Like, literally, at the hour mark, I managed to bring it down again. But next week is going to be so much more fun. Like, next episode is going to be so much more fun because we're going to talk about Gorn. We're going to talk about, like, murder. And it's going to be super awesome.
I can't wait for it. But like I said, and I was actually kind of serious. I would much rather sleep with a Gorn than with whatever fuck species that little face hugger thing. It looks like.
The tentacles are just not doing it for you.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And to be clear, I am very attracted to aliens. I am. I like Cardassians for some reason. I do. I do.
Things to talk about, and
we do. And it's like, William, you like white dudes and you like Cardassians. Are you okay? Like, I'm good. I just know, and there are a few Klingons that I like too.
There might be a reason that you're single, and some of that may be to keep yourself safe.
I mean, maybe that is true, because I meant what I said. You have to love Star Trek in order for me to marry you. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. I will adopt just fine. Like, sorry. And I will name my cat Neelix. Like, anyway, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take us out, Marie.
All right. So, as I said, we are looking forward to doing the Enterprise Mirror Universe episodes and talking about Hoshi's role there and the creation of an entire empire. And yeah, the less said about Exile, the better.
See ya. Now, again, I'm going to say this again because we're near the end of our show. If you are our allies, we are not talking to you. We are not talking to you. This does not... Okay? We're not talking to you. Stop trying to take our and make it your god business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Our experience of grief independently.
Bruh.
Yes.
I love that they're in the comments.
So much is like, I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah. They should have brought their child out. Such a good point, Will. God, that's such a good point. And he's really thought about it too. You should be here. William, get over here.
I thought he had a girlfriend on Insta. It's been ages since I've mucked about, but
Okay, moving on. Let's move on.
we gotta move on.